Okay, good morning everybody and welcome to another round of coffee and questions. And today's topic we were discussing in a couple of emails going back and forth and on the forum, what's the best way to set up your MIG welder in terms of, the gas. Now you can get into a pretty complex discussion on how to do this because it can depend on a lot of variables. And I'm going to put up a website in a few minutes that you can go to that will take you into a lot of complex detail on different ways and different things that you can do to set up this MIG gas. But I wanted to do a video because everybody gets like super confused after a while, and it almost takes the fun out of the whole thing. What do you do if you just want to walk out into your garage, you have a standard setup, you have a standard MIG welder, and I just want to set the gas, I want to set it as correctly as I can so that my welds come out looking the best that they can. So that's what my video is going to focus on today. But I'm going to put up a website. Give me just a sec. Okay, I just put up a website for netwelding.com. Now, if you go here, this will take you into an in-depth discussion and explanation on MIG gas and how to set it and how to change tips, how to use gas-saving hoses, and all these other things that you can buy and you can do to enhance the performance of your welding. But it's a really detailed discussion. It might even bore you, I don't know, if you're really interested in it. It's got other good information too. So go ahead, take a look at the website, copy it down, go to it, flip through the things that they have there because they give some really, really good explanations on stuff. But like I said, this video is meant just to go through the very basics to get you out there, get your welding and having fun. So I'm going to change the picture. I'm going to go step by step. It's very simple to do, but let's make sure you're doing things as correctly as we possibly can. So I'm going to change the picture. Here we go. Okay, the first thing that we want to talk about is safety. That's safety in securing this tank to the back of your cart. Now, you can use chain like he's doing here in the picture. You can use rope, whatever method you want, but you do want this tank secure. You don't want it flopping around or where it's got the potential to fall and hit the floor and shoot across your shop like a rocket. So always secure the tank somehow. Make sure you take all the safety precautions and then you're ready to move forward. So let's go to the next slide and I'll show you how to set this up. Okay, let's take a look at the picture on the upper left. I always take a quick visual look. It's real fast. Check your hoses, make sure they're still in good shape. Check your fittings, make sure everything is snug. Everything looks like it's put together well. And you're ready to reach over to the tank like over here on the far right, and you want to take that valve and you want to crack it open real quick and shut it real fast. And what that does is it'll take all that debris and blow it out that's up in that fitting. If there's any dust, particles of crap or anything sitting up in there, it'll blow it out, it'll make it clean so that you're ready for attaching those gauges. So let's move on to the next picture and we'll show you the attaching. Okay, so I always start by sticking the fitting into the hole there on that tank, and I start to finger tighten it down. I start to thread it in with my hand and I go down as much as I can, and then I'll usually use a crescent wrench. So I'll flip the picture here and I'll show you another picture where we're using the crescent wrench to secure it down a little bit better. You don't over tighten it, you just snug it up. Okay, now this is a point where you can take and set those gauges so they're tilted up a little bit so you can see them easier or however you want them, and then take the crescent wrench like I just said and just snug that nut. Okay, let's go to the next picture. Okay, now here where his hand is, once you have that done, go ahead and open that valve, and I open that valve on that tank all the way, and you're going to see that first gauge on the upper right. It's going to swing way up, and that's going to show you in pounds per square inch how much gas is in that cylinder. So if it's full, it's going to swing way up, and you say, okay, hey, that's great. Now what do I do next? Okay, now that little T handle there, that brass T handle, you're going to start to dial that in slowly by going clockwise. That's going in. And as you do that, you're going to see the little gauge over here on the left. It's going to start to move up. Then the next question is, okay, well, where do I want to set it? I'm going to change the slide in a second. I'm going to show you a chart with suggested settings. And I got it off of that same website I told you to go to and read more in depth. I have the Miller-Matic 211. I set mine right in that 22 to 23 range. That's in cubic feet per hour. It's not a gas pressure, okay? So it's just a little technicality, but I set it to 20 to 23, and then I turn around and I turn my machine on. So go ahead and flip the power switch on, and then I reach over and I grab my MIG gun next. Okay, now holding the MIG gun, I don't worry about the wire coming out or anything else. I look down at the gauge that I had set in that 20-22 range, and I pull the trigger on my MIG gun, and I'm still looking down at the gauge. Now you're going to notice a dip. At that point, I reach over that little brass T, at that little brass, T handle. I turn it in a little bit more so that when I hit the trigger, when it dips down, it's still staying in that 20-22, 20-23 range, somewhere right in there. When I have that, then I know that I have my gas set correctly the way that I want it. Okay, so then now I have this set up. I have it set the way that I want it, and I'm ready to go. Now all I got to do next is clip my MIG wire, grab my helmet, and get ready. So let me change the picture, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, here's a picture with MIG pliers cutting that wire. I actually cut it a lot closer than what you're seeing in the picture, but you get the idea. You cut it, now you're ready to weld, and you have your gas set correctly. So that is the very basics, and a very basic, quick way. I mean, that when I go out into the garage, I set up my MIG gun for welding. Now, you have that chart you can refer back to, and you have that welding site you can go to for more in-depth explanation and more tweaking. But this will get you through things. It will get you through them correctly. Your welds will be fine structurally and otherwise. So this is just like a down dirty, quick way of quickly setting it up without, beating it into the ground. Because one of the people said, hey, look, I went to the website, I read through the stuff, it becomes so complex, it's almost like a turnoff on, wanting to go out and tamper with the machine. Well, don't let it. I mean, you'll learn as you go different ways, to adjust things and do things. So, all right, let's go to questions. Okay, well, it's like I said, this was just a very quick way of showing you in steps, like rapidly, how you can put this on for the first time, set it up quickly, and be ready to weld. Now, I'm going to get a lot of comments where people are going to go, no, that's not right. You should always set the gauge on the left, the one with the gas coming out in cubic feet per hour up to 30 or better. Look, I don't agree with that. What happens is you'll create more turbulence and you'll get more air in there and you'll start having problems. What's worked best for me over time is anywhere from 20 to 23, right in that range. If you set it at 24, does it matter? No. For me, is just a general purpose welding at home out of the garage. This is what I have found. The settings on my Miller 211, auto set works best for me. Tweak it yourself when you get out in the garage. Just go out, start welding. If you're getting too much porosity or too much splatter and it just doesn't seem to be welding right, make sure the tip of your gun is clean, first of all. Then turn around and just to give it a little bit more gas here, maybe 25, 26 is better for you. I don't know. 20 to 24 works best for me. I'm in a garage. I don't have a lot of wind. I don't have fans going or anything like that. You'll have to compensate for those things, though. If you have them, what I would suggest is if you have something where you have a lot of wind or breeze around, make yourself a windbreak. Or you can switch over and use flux cord, MIG wire. Now, somebody said, hey, can I use flux cord MIG wire and gas? Well, yeah, I'm sure that you can. I don't know why. I would think that the flux cord MIG wire is good if you're outside where you might get an occasional breeze or something going on and you want to weld. I just happen not to use it because I'll set up a little windbreak or do something. And I'm one of these people that, look, I like the gas. That's what I use. So I will always try to figure out a way to use it. Okay, next question. Yeah, I understand what you're saying about the website I referred you to. They sell a thing called the gas saver system. It's just a matter of swapping out the hose. And their hose is designed to help, you save gas. You get a little bit of economy out of it. Now, the other thing that's going to make a difference is, your MIG nozzle tip. What size is it? They're different diameters. I didn't go down that road with you because, it just... I would tell you to read the website first. You'll get a better understanding. You don't have to buy any of the products, but they will give you a description and they'll give you an explanation of these things that, are the variables. I don't worry about them that much. I'm not a production welder, just a handyman at home out of the garage. It works great. It works fine for me without having to buy additional accessories, but it's a good tutorial. That's what it was meant to do for you, is just go there and read through it, and you'll see there's different little tweaks that you can do on your own. And like I said, if you find something's not working, just keep playing around with it. Grab a piece of scrap steel and start playing around. See what happens when you increase the gas a little bit more. See what happens when you don't have any gas. You'll get a lot of porosity, your welds will look crappy, they're splattered, they're filled with holes, it just looks crummy. Then start adding gas, and then you'll see somewhere up, probably 20 plus is where it's going to be ideal for you. You just tweak your machine and find out. Maybe the settings I'm explaining to you that I use work for you too. Give it a try. Yeah, you're right, I didn't explain that. Let's say that you're done welding. Okay, I reach over to the tank, the big valve on top, and I shut it off nice and snug. Then I reach down to that little brass T-handle, and I go counterclockwise, and I open it up quite a bit. Not so that it unscrews, just open it up a few turns. Reach over with your machine still running and hit your MIG gun trigger a couple of times, and it purges the gas out of the hose in the system. Then I'm ready to shut it off. So yeah, you brought up a good point. I didn't discuss that, but it was more like how to set it up. But yeah, that's what I do. I'm just in the habit of always making sure that I do it, because you do want the gas off. You don't want to walk away after it's off and come back the next day or two and find out that, well, you don't have any gas left because you left it all on. So yeah, you bring up a good point. What's a good example you want me to give you of when I would use flux cord wire? Well, like I said, I really don't use it, but let's say I was out in my driveway and I'm doing wrought iron gates, or I'm working on a trailer, or I'm doing something where I'm out in the elements. You might want to consider using, the flux cord, because then you don't need to worry about shielding gas. You don't need to worry about, all these splatters, porosity, and all this stuff, because that flux cord will compensate for all those things and it'll give you nice welds. I just don't do enough of that kind of work to where I worry about it. So what do? The last time I worked on a trailer and I was outside and I started thinking about that, I just took some scrap like plywood and I made like a shield. Call it a windbreak or a shield or whatever you want. And I would just set it like around where I'm welding, and I'm still using, the gas. So it worked perfectly fine. But if I was out there doing this all the time, yeah, it's not that I've never used flux cord. I've used it before. It works okay. I just prefer the gas, and if I can do it, that's just the way I prefer doing things. Okay, this wasn't meant to be a long video. I hope that I answered some of the questions. Keep things very simple just to get out there. Set this up rapidly so that you're able to weld, use it, and have some fun. Don't set the gas way too high. Don't set it way too low. You'll have too many problems. Figure out what's ideal for you. I would start somewhere, just as a rough guess, at 20. See how you're welding. Bump it up to 22, to 24, to 26, to 28, whatever. Play around in those ranges on a piece of scrap steel and see what's working best for you with your welder. That's just a down dirty and quick way to do it. Okay, I'm the Home Handyman. I'm going to wrap this up. I hope you folks click subscribe and keep following me. Thank you very much. I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.